Well, brothers and sisters, happy Thursday. Want to encourage you to worship Jesus with us this Sunday on Father's Day at First Baptist. In each of our three services, we're giving away two steak packages to two dads. We'll have a drawing at the end of each service. So, hey, be here and have some fun with us, but also worship Jesus. Today, in our Bible devotion, we are in Psalm 63. And this is a really beautiful psalm. It really is. David expresses his personal passion for God and his praise for the Lord. But suddenly, after several verses of that, there's this sudden, very abrupt change you don't see coming. And he changes subject and the tone changes. The first part of the psalm, in fact, the first 8 verses, all about his praise and devotion to God. Verse 1, for instance, "O God, you are my God. I shall seek you earnestly. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh yearns for you." Dropping down to verse 8, "My soul clings to you. Your right hand upholds me." Wow, just so many beautiful things in those 8 verses. And then suddenly, verse 9, But those who seek my life, those who want to kill me, to destroy me, will go into the depths of the earth. They will be delivered over to the power of the sword. They will be a prey for foxes. But the king," David referring to himself, "will rejoice in God. Everyone who swears by him, by God, will glory. For the mouths of those who speak lies will be stopped." And like I said, reading the first 8 verses is just beautiful and so encouraging. And when I was reading it this time, even though I've read this psalm before, I did not see verse 9 coming. Just that it's like an about face all of a sudden. And wow. But I started thinking why David wrote the psalm this way. And the more I thought about it and prayed about it, I realized the truth is that life is lived in the real world. In the real world, we have challenges. Sometimes we have hardships and problems. And worship is not simply an escape from the real world. Intimacy with God is not simply an escape from our challenges. Our walk with God, our worship of God, our intimacy with God, our praise of God equips us, prepares us, strengthens us for living in the real world, for doing what God calls us to do in the midst of the challenges. And it keeps us from a life of bitterness and anger and vengeance. So it keeps our hearts pure. It keeps our hands pure so that we don't do wrong things. That if we stay in touch with God, we do better living in the real world. And David had opposition. He had opponents, some who wanted to dethrone him, some who wanted to kill him, some who wanted to embarrass him. And he had lived long enough to understand that it was his longing for God and his worship of God and his praise of God and his meditating on God's word that enabled him to live the right way in the world. Now, he had that one time when he kind of got away from all of this. The whole story of Uriah and Bathsheba. But at other times, his heart was so strong in its desire for God, it kept him healthy in the real world. And if you want to stay healthy, because listen, in the real world, you're going to have challenges and problems. You want to stay healthy and you want to do right. You want to stay healthy and stay pure. Stay connected to God. Because living in the real world, not deeply connected to God, is a disaster waiting to happen. And so I think I get it now why David, for 8 verses, just talks about his Lord. And then those last 3 verses talks about his challenges. But he comes back in verse 11, but the king, referring to himself, will rejoice in God. He said, I'm going to keep my focus there. And I think that's a good word for us too. Hope that encourages you. Hey, God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.